Hello there, it's just me, lumbersexual powerhouse, Grizzly Jim, and today I just want to talk to you a little bit about what a longbow is and why it could be confusing. Well, I'm sure if you are even slightly interested in traditional archery, you would have heard of the term longbow. And depending on where you are in the world, that might conjure up a different image. For me, growing up in the UK, many moons ago, a longbow would conjure up the English longbow, a very simple piece of stick and string. Maybe if you grew up in the States or certain parts of Europe, you might get something a little bit more like this, like a reflex deflex flat bow, as they're known in the world. But there are many bows that come under the longbow category, and there are so many different organizations that categorize longbows in different ways, it can be a little bit confusing. So I just wanted to give you a kind of brief overview about the longbow. And the thing is, all these bows in front of me here are categorized as longbows, and it covers a broad spectrum. You've generally got sort of a very simple D-shaped English longbow, something like this. It's a longbow. You've got something like these guys here, which are reflex, deflex, or hybrid longbows, which means there is a little bit of reflex to the limb. It's not just a straight D shape anymore. It sort of kicks back on itself. Not quite a recurve. You're not getting into recurve territory. It's just got that little bit of a reflex in the limb. That's what I shoot. This is my personal bow here. This is a striker, and this is what's called a longbow limb. It's a reflex deflex limb or a hybrid limb, depending on what you want to call it. It's just semantics at the end of the day. It's just a longbow limb, but it also happens to be on a takedown bow, which, some people would say, oh, that's not a longbow, but technically it is, and depending on what class you shoot it in. For example, the World Archery 3D, that would be classed as the instinctive class, or whatever they're calling it now. That wouldn't actually class as a longbow, even though it is a longbow. In order to shoot World Archery 3D in the longbow class, you'll probably need something like this bow. Now, this looks a tad under brace to me, but you can see again, it's got that kind of hybrid reflex deflex limb, but it is a wooden construction, one-piece longbow. So you could shoot that in a World Archery 3D event. If you are looking at sort of one of the organizations in the UK, such as the NFAS, and you wanted to shoot in their longbow category, which is called the flat bow category, you wouldn't be able to shoot this because there is a reflex in the limb. So it just goes to show that whatever organization you're a member of, check the rules to see what actually constitutes in your organization as a longbow. Example, we got a sort of a very simple kind of Bickerstaff English longbow here. That in certain categories could be, or certain competitions or organizations could be categorized as a primitive bow, but it's still a longbow. So yeah, that's another one. What else have you got? And then you've just got this here, which is probably the thing that most people will call an American flat bow or an AFB. There's no reflex to the limb. It's just a continuously straight line, but it's still a longbow. I used to shoot a lot of these back in the day. Very simple, very uncomplicated type of bow. And then you got sort of the more modern style longbow, which is sort of coming into its own now with these kind of reflex deflex hybrid style limbs. Doesn't matter, just words. Something like that is very popular. I have one of these. I shoot this quite a bit. It's just a nice, fun, very short, snappy little bow. But yeah, at the end of the day, as long as you are comfortable with what you're shooting and you're shooting in a category that you want to shoot and you're having fun, that's all that matters. I always tell people to shoot what gives them the biggest smile. Shoot whatever puts the biggest smile on your face and you'll be enjoying it. Some people shoot competitions for the win. Some people shoot competitions for the fun. I shoot because I like to shoot, and that's why I tend to shoot the bows that I like to shoot. So as long as you're fitting into a category that you want to shoot in, most places you can find a way to shoot the equipment you want. You might not sort of be in the most ideal category for you, but as long as you're shooting, that's the main thing. But there are more than one type of longbow, and there are different categories. It can get complicated. I'm hoping I haven't made it more complicated, but longbows are there are different types of longbows, but I suppose if you really had to, you could separate them into sort of a primitive style English longbow, a D-shaped style American flatbow, or the more modern style reflex deflex longbow. They're all longbows, they're all bows, they're all designed to do one thing incredibly well, and that's get you shooting. So I hope you found that interesting. I hope, like I say, I hope I haven't overcomplicated it. But yeah, that's just something that was floating around my head about longbow and longbow. I mean, when I was getting into it, I was a bit adamant that no, the English longbow is a longbow, everything else is an American flatbow. But we're a global kind of society now, and we borrow a lot from other different cultures, and it gets complicated. So yeah, a longbow is a longbow is a longbow. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. You take care, shoot straight, and I'll see you on the internet. Bye bye.